or revising, but with some different lenses on to continue to create our rainbow of details. So I just want to give you quick reminders from yesterday's lesson that yes, you hopefully have finished your whole first draft, and that's awesome. You should give yourself a pat on the back, but that we're not done yet. We have some even more important work to do to revise and make our writing even better. So for today, we're still looking back at our draft and we're seeing how we can make our stories better, but we're going to focus on character thinking and figurative language. So we look at our details palette and we're going to look at the orange and the green today. For orange, thinking. What's the character thinking in their head? All right, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then for figurative language, we're going to focus on one type today, and that's similes. And how can we use similes in our writing to help to describe something better? Okay, characters and their thinking. Do you have any characters do any thinking to themselves in your story? So when you think about a character might pause in the middle of a situation, they might think something that they don't say out loud. It's important to share that thinking to your reader so that your reader really understands what's happening on the inside in your characters rather than just seeing how the character's acting. So I ask you this, are there places in your story where you can share what's on your character's mind that's going to help the reader better understand them? You're going to highlight any thinking you've already included in your story in orange today. And then I want you to add in a spot of character thinking if you don't already have some, and make sure you highlight it orange. I'll share with you in my story in the next video where I have character thinking in my story that might help. The other thing, figurative language. We're going to be focusing on just one type today called similes. You probably have heard this word before. I think we've even used it in word study once this year. But similes are used to compare two things. So I've put a bunch of examples up here, but these are not the ones that you have to choose from. You can create a simile of your own. So here are some examples. Today, I'm feeling as fresh as a daisy. John runs as fast as lightning. My best friend is as stubborn as a mule. After that meal, I feel as fat as a pig. My little sister works as slow as a turtle. Without my glasses, I am as blind as a bat. The boy in my class is as funny as a clown. Right now, I'm feeling as sick as a dog. Have you ever felt as happy as a hippo? When she kissed me, I turned as red as a tomato. You can notice these similes all have the word as in them, but they're comparing two things. So the way that person's feeling to a fresh daisy. John to how fast lightning is. Best friend being stubborn to a stubborn mule. The feeling you feel after eating a lot to feeling like a pig. Okay, so these are comparing two things. When I think about ones that might work in your story, you might be thinking about how your character is feeling and how could you compare that feeling to a feeling you know something else. Or like when she kissed me, I turned as red as a tomato. If there's any point in your story where your character gets embarrassed, they might turn as red as a tomato. Or they might feel like there's a spotlight shining down on them. But that's not really happening. Okay, so it's figurative language. Figurative language is when we play with words a little bit to add in some interesting details that aren't necessarily true, but that help the reader understand what it's like, comparing it to something else. So you're going to try adding in your own figurative language today. How could you include at least one simile in your story to help your reader understand something about your character and make it more interesting? Find at least one place to put in the simile and highlight it green. It's possible you already have a simile or two in your writing, so if you find one, you can highlight those green and those count too. If not, take a little time. What's your character acting like? What are they feeling like? What actions are they doing that you could compare to the action of an animal, or you could compare to a feeling of something else that will add a simile to your work? You'll be able to see this in my writing in the video below as well. So watch the next video where I show you my story about Amanda and how I add orange and green, thinking that my character is doing, and a simile or figurative language to my writing to make it even better. Good luck revising today, writers.